Welcome back. John Heilman and Bill Kristol are still with us, as is Jonathan Capehart in Washington. We have a lot to get to.
Yeah.
You guys are going to continue your conversation about the Confederate flag in just a moment. But first, the Republican presidential field looks set to expand again. A report in Politico says New Jersey Governor Chris Christie could announce his campaign as early as next week. Christie finishes 6th in a new poll of New Hampshire primary, where Donald Trump has rocketed to 2nd place after his high-profile announcement.
Let's keep that up right there. Let's talk about it really quickly. Bill Kristol, you wrote about Donald Trump. Again, you say he and Rand Paul are your two least favorite Republicans, but you say he may have an impact in this race.
Right. We discussed it Monday. I think Republicans have not been taking Trump seriously enough. He is tapped into a populist, nationalist, anti-politician, anti-Washington vein. He's a good communicator. He knows how to use TV. He'll do well in the debate, I predict. And it'd be very foolish for Republicans to show disdain for him. He could become Ross Perot. He could run third party against another Bush, especially if Jeb Bush is the nominee. Can you imagine Jeb Bush, Hillary Clinton, the scions of dynasties, Trump, insiders? I'd love to. The Trump campaign again. So it's important the Republicans hug Trump rather than disdain.
I was going to say, how dangerous could Donald Trump be to the Republican Party for its brand, and also if he decides to go independent?
I think if he goes independent, it's very dangerous. I think for the brand and the primaries, he's fine. Have a diverse bunch of candidates up on stage, let them debate. I think Trump adds something to the race.
You know, John Heilman, we also talked about Chris Christie. He's thinking about running. I saw a poll yesterday that said that he was down to 30% approval rating in New Jersey. Yeah. And I was just thinking, hey, if this guy's going to jump into the presidential race, he better do it fast. He needs to change the dynamics.
He does. He's been trying to change the dynamic by giving the series of pretty substantive policy speeches over the course of the last couple of months.
Why is it not working?
Well, I think, look, there's still the overhang of Bridgegate. He's still dealing with that, both in terms of the memory of it, the concern on the part of Republican establishmentarians that the indictments and everything that's still going on there is a problem for him. But the state, not just there's a reason why his approval rating is as low as it is in the state, which is that the New Jersey economy is horrible. And
why is the New Jersey economy horrible? Because I thought there was a New Jersey miracle coming.
Well,
what happened?
They have had, there's been problems with managing that budget process. They've been downgraded by the bond rating agencies 6 or 7 times in the last 18 months or 24 months. It's look, the economy across the country is not as good as some like to pretend it is, but he has had those stories of the dismal economy at home. The kinds of success he had in his first term working across the aisle have more or less evaporated. He's not, and it's hard to run when you're a governor if you don't have a TK miracle story to tell. Bobby Jindal has the same problem. His approval ratings in Louisiana, 27, 32%. It's hard to run when your state doesn't like you very much.
Economic situation terrible down in Louisiana as well, especially in the budget crisis. But Bill, what about Chris Christie? Can he light it up in New Hampshire?
I don't think it's out of the question. He's an awfully talented politician, and if he has a real national message, people can discount to some degree whether the state has some economic problems or not. I do think maybe it's the case. I mean, politicians have moments. Barack Obama saw that extremely well. First-term senator, how can you run against Hillary Clinton? Or don't you need to prepare more? He said, this is my moment, and he went for it, and he won. I think Chris Christie's moment was in 2012. Christie, in my view, if Chris Christie had gotten in the race at the end of 2011 with Romney, Gingrich, Santorum,
he would have won.
He would have won. He would have won the nomination, and I'm not sure he wouldn't have beaten President Obama in the election. And there is a kind of funny thing in politics. If you don't go for it when you have that moment, even if it seems early, even if it seems premature, that 4 years later there's a little sense of, well, we respect Chris Christie, here he is again, but others, Scott Walker's there, and other people, Jeb Bush has come back, and other people who seem in a way like, I don't know.
The field in 2012 was very weak, and Christie was very strong, and none of the things that have crippled him or hurt him significantly, like Bridgegate, had happened yet. So that may have been his moment.
Inside the Washington, New York media bubble, there's a lot of focus on Bridgegate, but when you go outside and you cover politics all over the country and you talk to people, do you hear people mentioning traffic on the bridge in New Jersey?
I think people remember that there was a moment when Chris Christie became a punchline on late night TV. That's the biggest problem. It's hard, as it is for Rick Perry, it's hard to come back from that moment when you have become a figure of mockery in the national press. And people do remember that. The other problem that Chris Christie has is that he's always been out of step with the Republican base. And so when he seemed like a potent figure, people were willing to overlook that. Now you find Republicans in New Hampshire and Iowa actually looking at his issue positions. And again, along with Donald Trump, he is the most unpopular in terms of his unfavorables are higher in Iowa and New Hampshire. The number of Republicans who say they would never vote for him is higher. Those two guys are running neck and neck in that category. And again, those are really hard things to overcome, even given his immense political talent, which I grant he has.
We'll see if that changes once he gets in the race, perhaps as early as next week.